Yes, Madam Mayor. Mayor Chatterley. Present. Mayor Pro Tem Honeyfield.
Here.
Commissioner Schuster. Present. Commissioner Campbell.
Here.
And Commissioner Hoger.
Here.
Thank you. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Move on to item 4. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. Thank you for being here in person and those of you online. Our next regular commission meeting will be Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. Same place, same time. Our first proclamation tonight is Drinking Water Week, May 3rd through the 9th, 2026. Commissioner Campbell.
Proclamation Drinking Water Week, May 3rd through the 9th, 2026. Whereas water follows a natural cycle from earth to air and to earth again. Whereas water is our most valuable natural resource. And whereas water is a basic and essential need of every living creature, and whereas only tap water delivers public health protection, fire protection, support for our economy, and the quality of life we enjoy, and whereas any measure of a successful society, low mortality rates, economic growth, and diversity, productivity, and public safety are in some way related to access to safe water, and whereas we are all stewards of the water infrastructure upon which future generations depend, and the citizens of Raton should have a safe, dependable supply of water now and into the future. Therefore, do I, Lori Chatterley, Mayor of the City of Raton, hereby proclaim May 3rd through the 9th, 2026 as Drinking Water Week. In the City of Raton, we urge all citizens to help protect our source waters from pollution, to practice water conservation, and to get involved in local water issues by getting to know their water. In witness thereof, I hereby set my hand in the seal of City of Raton on the 28th day of April, 2026.
How you doing, sir? Sir.
Thanks, you guys.
Our next proclamation is Behavioral Health, Mental Health Awareness Month, May 2026. Commissioner Schuster.
Thank you. Proclamation, Behavior Health, Mental Health Awareness Month is the entire month of May 2026. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives, and whereas prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental health conditions. And whereas there is a strong research that diet, exercise, sleep, and stress management can help all Americans protect their health and well-being. And whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives, and whereas stigma and fear of discrimination keep many who would benefit from behavioral health services from seeking help, and whereas with effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead full, productive lives. And whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen shares the burden of mental health problems and has a responsibility to promote mental health, wellness, and support prevention efforts. Now, therefore, does Lori Chatterley, Mayor of the City of Raton, and the entire commission does hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 as Behavior Health, Mental Health Awareness Month. We urge all citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in Raton to commit our community recommit to our community to increase awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps of our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate accessible services for all people with mental health conditions. In witness wherefore has Lori Chatterley hereunto set her hand and seal and caused the seal of the city of Raton to be affixed this 28th day of April 2026. Thank you for your work.
Our next proclamation is Motorcycle Awareness Month, May 2026. Mayor Pro Tem Honeyfield.
Whereas motorcycles are used as a regular means of transportation for commuting, touring, and recreation in and around Raton, New Mexico. And whereas the Raton scenic roadways make motorcycling a very popular destination for riders from around the country, and whereas the safe operation of a motorcycle requires the use of acquired skills developed through a combination of training and experience, the use of good and judgment, and through knowledge of traffic laws and licensing requirements. And whereas it is imperative that the residents of Raton be aware, show consideration, and share the road with motorcycles on the streets and highways, and recognize the importance of motorcycle safety. And whereas the National Traffic Safety Administration has declared May as Motorcycle Awareness Month, it is the desire of the Office of the Mayor to join the NHTSA in raising awareness of the growing number of motorcyclists on Raton's roadways in order to help prevent accidents and, most importantly, save lives. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Lori Chatterley, Mayor of the City of Raton, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim May 2026 as Motorcycle Awareness Month, and urge our citizens to be observant, courteous, and knowledgeable about motorcycle usage in our community. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand and seal, and caused the seal of the City of Raton to be affixed this 28th day of April, 2026.
Do you need some bikers up there?
Yes. Looking at the back, like, come on, guys.
Come on, get some bikers up there.
What you doing now?
Our next proclamation is the 57th Annual Municipal Clerks Week, May 3rd through the 9th, 2026. 57th Annual Municipal Clerks Week, May 3rd through the 9th, 2026. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk and our own amazing municipal clerk. Now therefore, do I, Lori Chatterley, Mayor of the City of Raton, New Mexico, recognize the week of May 3rd through May 9th, 2026 as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend our appreciation to our amazing City Clerk Desiree Trujillo, Deputy Clerk Michael Ann Antonucci, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. A witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and seal and caused the seal of the City of Raton to be affixed this 28th day of April 2026. You got it at last. Those are the ladies that keep us in line.
And do a very good job.
And do a very nice job. Thank you. Okay, item 5, committee reports from commissioners. We'll start with Commissioner Hogarth.
Okay, on April the 1st, I attended the Colfax County DWI Planning Council meeting where we discussed upcoming state grants and DWI classes. On April 13th, I attended the County Commission meeting and heard about a plan to reassess houses with a boots on the ground effort here in Raton and a discussion of county pay structure. Also that the county emergency, medical, and fire departments will migrate radio traffic to the state system over the next 2 years. On April the 13th, I attended the baby box blessing at the fire station. On April the 14th, I attended the Colfax Senior Citizen Advisory meeting where we discussed how to fill an open board position and the loss of the Wagon Mound facility, which is being taken over by the village. We also discussed the final hookup of the hood vent system, and Monica Finkbone wants to tell the commission how happy they are with their stove. On April 17th, I attended the MCMC Board of Trustees meeting. I see Brian Cotter is here, so I'll leave out some of the details, but a couple things that he might not mention is in 2025, the hospital had no hospital-acquired infections. That's awesome. In addition, the patient satisfaction scorecards are available, and they look pretty good, and they'll be shared soon. And we have a new lab manager that we're hope is now temporary, but maybe she'll become permanent. On April 23rd, I attended the County Extension Health Fair. On April the 28th, today, I attended the College Working Group, or the education meeting, where we developed strategies for internships based on information that we've gathered from local businesses. I think that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Campbell?
On March 26th, I attended a meeting with A.J. Forte, the Executive Director of the New Mexico Municipal League, and he's also the Chairman of the Water Trust Board. It was concerning current and future funding for Raton water projects, including the current Lake Maloya Dam project and possible upgrades further in the future. Also attended a meeting with him and some RPS staff concerning some of the Burrow Canyon power line issues and liabilities. On the 13th and 14th, attended a meeting with AECOM, our Raton Waterworks' dam engineering firm, concerning the upcoming Water Trust Board funded Lake Maloya project, including a site visit at the dam. April 22nd was a meeting of myself, Scott Berry, City Manager, Deputy City Manager, Fire Chief, and some of our WW's personnel and staff, and the board chairman, did a site visit of the Schwarzheim fire. And actually, primarily, it was in the track fire burn scar, but it did burn approximately 1,600 acres, and there was a lengthy discussion over some reseeding operations, some other things to try to do some controls of ash and some other issues, but most of it was in the burn scar, which by far was a blessing of what could have happened. And our RPS meeting is until tomorrow night.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Schuster.
All right, I was absent, as many of you realized. Last meeting, I was over the phone, so I've been gone helping family, out of town helping family. But on April 10th, I was able to attend the Regulation and Licensure Board. And of that meeting, there was really nothing real pertinent to our municipal local business. On April 21st, there was a water board meeting, and I trust that Mayor Pro Tem will have a lengthy report on that. That's about it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mayor Pro Tem Honeyfield.
I attended the baby box adoption. I chaired the finance committee, but I'll let Ms. Antonucci go through the details of that. I attended the municipal league meeting with Dan regarding the water department and power company. I survived the 35th annual Raton School Dance Recital, no small feat there. And I attended the water board meeting. So the highlights of that, the filter plant production for the month of March was about 25.3 million gallons. Water sales have dropped by about 2.3%, sewer sales by about 1.9%. The fire in the watershed was contained to around 1,600 acres. There was a proposal to use the remaining funds that were used to paint the 3 million gallon tank to paint the raw water tank at the filter plant and the tanks on the Cimarron line. There was also discussion regarding the pump and control rebuild on the Cimarron line. We approved the interim budget for submittal to the city. Received notice of an award for $10.3 million for repairs to the Lake Maloya Dam, primarily the inlet pipes and valve upgrades. There was some discussion regarding having a work session to kind of go over a possible rate increase, and it's basically due to declining sales and increased operating costs. I will say this, compliments to Manager Wakefield for his involvement in negotiating bids and his cost savings and efficiencies in running the department.
Thank you. I kept it short and sweet this month, so I'm just going to focus on a couple things. I attended the North Central New Mexico Economic Development District Executive Committee meeting on March 26th, and also the Executive Committee meeting and full board meetings on April 23rd. Most everything we've been done doesn't really apply to what we do in the city. We work with that organization a lot on different things, but we didn't talk too much about those things in our meetings. We talked mostly about the different programs they're working on, contracts, finances, and we have a new executive director, so we've been working a lot on that transition. And we did talk a little bit about that Restoring Our Communities, or ROC program that's going on in town. There is another house underway. Mr. Scott Berry is the head of that program. Let's see. So Ports to Plains didn't meet. Municipal League didn't meet, which was nice to have a little break. And then the RPS board is meeting Wednesday. I did today attend a meeting where we were discussing different drone technology ideas, just looking at different options for maintaining our lines. Other notable city-related business was on April 20th. I, along with interim city manager Sagata and partners from the Nature Conservancy, hosted a film crew from PBS who was doing an episode of New Mexico in Focus on the Bartlett Mesa Buck Ridge project and how Raton is hoping to use outdoor recreation to foster economic development as part of our plan. So they spent the first part of the day with Mr. Sagata. I believe they did some filming at the Schuler and did kind of a history of Raton, and then I went with them up to the top of the Buck Ridge Ranch, and we did some interviews up there. Maybe not my best interview ever, but it was very, very windy, and we toured around in some all-terrain vehicles and just on the road and gave them a little tour of that. And the Nature Conservancy had a lot of, it's going to be very interesting on the projects that they're working on over 5 states. Very cool work that they're doing. And that should be airing this Friday and Sunday. I don't know what time I watch PBS in the app, so I'm not good at the regular schedule. But that's all I'm going to report on tonight. And I will just note for everyone, we are still trying to work on some kind of speaker system so it's easier to hear us. I believe we have quotes in the works, but it's very expensive. So it is on our mind that you would need to hear us better in person. We're working on that. With that, we will move on to items from citizens present. I think most everyone is kind of used to how we're running this right now, but I'll go over a couple of the different rules, we'll call them. This public comment is not a time for back and forth conversation or question and answers. It's for your comments and us to listen. As I've stated at previous meetings, our contact information is out in the hallway. I met with some people this week. You know, you're more than welcome to contact us, call us. It's on the website, email us. And I know that most of us, I think everybody is happy to meet with somebody. So let us know and we'll work you in. Anyone wishing to speak at the meeting, any of us or any of you, have to be recognized by the meeting chair, but the only time for the public is during the public input session. And I ask that there's not clapping and jeering and side comments or what other interruptions like that. And please make your comments from the podium. Make sure we know your name. That's really important for our records. And I would really ask that we all keep a good sense of decorum and not be profane. Let's see, and we're gonna go 3 minutes per person tonight, up to around 15-minute mark, just because we do have executive session tonight as well. So I will now open the floor for items from citizens present. I believe, is it Ken? Yep, if you want to start us off.
Indeed, thank you. So my name's Ken Ryan, a resident 5 years now with the city of Raton. And so let me start out. Good evening, Mayor, Commission members, and ladies and gentlemen. I come tonight to voice some concerns that I have about the Adirex MOU. I presented to you a number of questions. I know you can't answer them here and now, but I implore upon you to think about them, take the time to read them and think about them seriously and how it might impact you as an individual, as a resident of Raton. And how certainly it will impact or could impact the residents of Raton in general. So what I'm going to reference here in my concerns as I voice them is question 7 for you all to reference. The MOU, as I understand it, states that it needs to be a project to be environmentally responsible. However, I'm not clear on, if anything, in the MOU that indicates that it will address the known downsides of a data center in a community. There are several areas that I'm trying to voice here. Air quality, water consumption and contamination. Water seems to be the topic here tonight. So, seriously consider how this might impact us. Noise and light pollution. General health considerations for our residents, our visitors that we rely on, and our wildlife. And finally, power consumption and how these data centers might impact us there. These downsides of a data center can harmfully impact our lakes and even the Cimarron watershed. They can adversely affect our Raton veterans and elderly community. And they potentially can jeopardize, because there are long-term effects, Raton, as we know and love it, for our children, for our grandchildren, and even their children. So I feel these are concerns that must be addressed by the Commission for the citizens of Raton. Thank you. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Anyone else? Sure.
Good evening, Mayor Chatterley, honored commissioners, Mr. Phillips, and Ms. Trujillo. My name is Bruce Dates, and I'm here tonight to express my position on a subject of great controversy, the node or the data center proposed here for Raton. Simply put, no data center here, please. I ask you to reflect, each of you, with internet and cell phones that almost everyone has. Isn't your internet almost instantaneous? Can you live stream a movie, a sport events or newscast while simultaneously shopping on eBay or talking to someone in Japan? I know I can. When you pay with a credit card, is not the transaction today near instantaneous? I think mine is. What is enough speed? What is enough bandwidth that's required? How much is necessary? There's a plaque right outside this building at the entrance from 1983, when Mayor Pappas was in charge. It heralded the supplemental water project from the Cimarron River. A visionary leadership nearly half a century ago recognized the need for increased water resources because, simply put, water is life. We are blessed here because of that decision. However, with climate change, the watershed from the Eagle Nest Lake has gone from 42,000 acre-feet to around 29,000 acre-feet, a loss of about a third, according to the U.S. Geological Survey in the short 8 years that I've been here. The Colorado snowpack is 24% of historic norms. It hasn't rained, not very much, the last winter. Precious resources for the townspeople and the downstream ranchers and farmers must be protected at all costs from the predations of big tech and Wall Street, which does not care a whit about Raton, its citizens, or Colfax County. Water for human and natural benefit, not for greed. No data center for Raton, please. Next, electricity is the lifeblood of modern civilization. We import our energy from Colorado. It's not made at the old power station. We import it. That means we're at their mercy for whatever price within the geopolitical world of oil and all of that problematic. We are at war about oil right now. According to the MIT Technology Review of May 2025, data centers use 4.5% of U.S. electricity. It's projected to be 12% by 2028. It's anyone's guess what it'll be in 2030. To what end? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Sure.
Good evening. My name is Joe Swanson. Basically, I came here to talk about the feasibility study. It's a little nebulous as far as what's involved in it because nobody seems to know. It could be one of three different things. I learned from basically looking at other places that have had centers put in, most of the information that you get is negative. Most of it is about the larger ones. My understanding is that there could be, because of the three different types here proposed, it could be one, two, or three of them. So it's pretty hard to know what to research. But what I did find, however, was that what's happening in other areas is that primarily it's had a negative effect on a lot of places. Water's an issue, power's an issue. I guess what I'm concerned about mainly is the noise and light pollution that may impact small businesses here. I don't see it has an impact on animal health and on human health as well. The other thing basically is that what I hate to see happen is another Walmart syndrome where basically something comes in and everybody has the best intentions, no doubt, but it doesn't always seem to work that way. So all actions that are taken have consequences, and it's easier to make a mistake and try to correct it later. It's always almost impossible to get back to where you started from. So what I've been told, basically, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. And that what I ask you to do is basically consider the impact that it would have on the residents of the community, the animal life, and the city in general. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else for items for citizens present?
I'll change it up a little bit. So I previously talked about a mammography event that we had scheduled for April 23rd. We were hoping to have 23 appointments scheduled.
Would you say your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian Cotter. I apologize. Brian Cotter, CEO of Miners Colfax Medical Center. So we had hoped to have 23 patients scheduled for the mammography event, and usually that happens once or twice a year. We ended up having 43 patients at the mammography event. So we're very, very happy about that. And the partner was Assured Imaging, and they're also called Resolute. And I had a conversation with them during, at that time when we knew it was 43. And we're going to do more throughout the year, 2 or 3 per year. And we're also, my understanding is that the hospital used to have a mammography unit in radiology. So given some of these numbers and what happened, we're considering, we're going to see the feasibility to be able to put that back in radiology as a permanent thing to have up here. So I'm very encouraged about that. It was very positive, and I wanted to share that positive news with you. So we're expecting 23, and we got 43. Very happy about that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Max Holland. Didn't forget like I did last time. I apologize. Madam Mayor, Commissioners, in a way, I almost feel it was ironic that you talked about mental health tonight. I almost felt like some people were talking to me, at any rate. I want to speak because I know our former mayor, whom I respect greatly, is a candidate for the city manager's position. And I want to speak against that. Not that I have anything at all against Mr. Sagade. I think he has done a fine job the years that he represented the city of Raton. In fact, before I knew Commissioner Hogar, I cast an early vote and I voted for Mr. Sagade for another term. But he spent his time serving the city. And it's time for fresh ideas, new blood. And so I'm going to ask you guys to please respectfully give him his gold watch, give him his plaque, thank him for his service, but not another term in city management. Thank you all.
We have time for one more person if they'd like to speak. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. We'll move on to item 7. We'll start with item A, deliberate and act on approval of April 14th, 2026 regular meeting minutes. Any comments or amendments from the commission? I actually had one question, and this is for actually Mr. Phillips. On the union contract, where it stated that it was renegotiated due to Colfax County raising the pay rate, but was that something that came up automatically? Like was it due?
Madam Mayor, no, the contract had met its natural expiration date, so it was renegotiated due to its pending term.
Pending term. So I would just ask that that be amended in item 6B. I can do that. Thank you. And I know it's confusing because we did discuss that as well with the county, but I was trying to remember. Okay. So if anyone is willing to make a motion, please include that amendment.
Madam Mayor, I will move that we approve the amended regular meeting minutes of April 14th, 2026.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve that amendment in the minutes. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, certification of closed session for the Friday, April 24th, 2026 special meeting pursuant to section 1015-1H2 personnel city manager interviews. Madam Clerk.
Please, Madam Mayor. The minutes shall state that the matters discussed in closed session were limited only to those as advertised and no action was taken. Does the commission agree? Please signify by a yes or no vote. Mayor Chatterley.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Honeyfield.
Yes.
Commissioner Schuster.
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell.
Yes.
And Commissioner Hoger.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item C, deliberate and act on event form for the Independent Riders Run for the Wall on May 16th, 2026. Mr. Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, in front of you, you have the event form for the Room for the Wall. It is an event that we've been doing for years. Seem to have all the kinks worked out on it. Generally, in advance of the meeting, we'll usually get with Tim Trail and the chief, fire chief and police chief. We'll visit about it. Very well organized event. A lot of external logistics already taken care of regarding NMDOT and state police and approach vehicles and such. So I think it's more of a formality than anything that we would recommend approval of it. Mr. Trail is here if you have any questions for him. Great event for Raton. Happy to have it here again.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Comments or questions from the commission?
Tim, do we have an estimate? How many
We're
folks?
at 333 right now.
333. Okay.
And we're considered the central route. But just keep in mind, all those people that usually have on there, they usually not there or show up, they do just help out. But we've been averaging maybe, 250 to 400 every year.
Thank you. Other comments or questions from the commission?
I would move to approve the event form for the Independent Writers Run for the Wall, May 16th, 2026.
I'll second.
I have a motion in 2 seconds. We'll have Commissioner Hogarth have the second then. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion carries. Thank you, that is a great event. Item D, deliberate and act on the MOU between Raton Elks Adult Softball League and the City of Raton. Mr. Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, we are happy to bring this MOU forth again this year. Last year was the return of the Raton Adult Softball League after many years of hibernation, and it went incredibly well. Seemed to be well received by the community, well ran by the organization. So well in effect that we chased some grant money. We actually have some money, hopefully, that before this season is over, we have some funds to rehabilitate the scoreboard at Bonhomme Field, upgrade it to a modern scoreboard, and to apply some infield surfacing for the first time at Bonhomme Field to kind of make it more enjoyable for the players there. We are recommending approval. We also have Mr. Eric Ortega, the league organizer, here if you have any questions or if you'd like to make a statement, but we're looking forward to doing it again this year.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Is this the same, is the contract similar to last year?
It is, and they've worked with Little League about some conflicts early in their season to resolve some Monday nights. Everybody's playing nice for the benefit of each other, and it just seems to be, well received in general. And a wide mix of players. I think, our police chief may have been on the team, Lieutenant Boone. I know several of my guys have played, and visiting with some folks that have aged out of the softball realm was surprising to see how many years a lot of people would participate in this. It's co-ed, so it's great. We've got male and female participation, and I think we've got folks from 18 to probably 60, Eric, somewhere in this league. And I'm sure the competitive juices get flowing, but it seems more about camaraderie than competition at this point, which is cool.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Mr. Ortega, did you want to share anything with us about the league or how things went last year? It sounds like everything's going really well. We'll twist your arm.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. I'm Eric Ortega. I run the Raton Softball League. Last year was great. In 2 weeks' notice, I got 90 people out there. And this year, I'm hoping to get a whole month in advance to advertise, which right now it's just hearsay, but I think I've already accumulated a couple more teams. But it's an activity to get people out my age, younger, just something to do. In Raton, there's, not very many options to go out and do something, so I feel like bringing softball back, which is the sport that I love. I also took the position of a volunteer coach for the high school junior varsity girls this year, and we actually went 15-1, so it was pretty good. It was a good season for us. But, it's in my blood, it's in my nature, and, if I could help out the community with getting us all out there, hey, more power to us. So I appreciate you guys all actually even giving us a chance to do it. Thank you for helping me organize it all. Des, I appreciate it. Jason, thank you so much. But yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
If people are interested, do they contact you directly?
Yes,
Okay.
and I have a Facebook page, the Raton Elk Softball League Association. I usually post on that, and then I share through my personal, and I have people tag and post out. But yes, my name is associated to everything. I have an email on there and a phone number. But yeah, I usually get it out to the public. So.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments? Yes. Any comments, questions from the commission? Good. It looks like the insurance, it has to be renewed sometime, like in the middle of the
Yes,
season.
and I'm in
So-
contact with Jamie Monas from Farmers Insurance, and what we'll do is 2 weeks before it expires, we'll just renew the whole contract, and then we'll get you a copy of the updated service, which will go for another year from that date. So we are covered up until July 7th, I believe. But prior to that, me and Jamie's already been discussing it. We got it all figured out, so we should have that covered. And as soon as we get it renewed, I'll just bring you an updated copy. So,
Thank you.
Your season, Eric, ran how far?
I'm sorry.
Your season.
This year we started earlier, because like last year we started in the middle, basically of July. We're starting at the beginning of June, if it's approved. I'm gonna do it 8 weeks, give us about 4-week break in there for rainouts, for anything that might come up, and then start another 8-week. So 16 weeks, and then I also have on the schedule for an end-of-the-year tournament, which every team was asking me about last year. Unfortunately, the way I organized it, I didn't know the ins and outs back then. This year, I was able to catch up with what needs to happen, and I put it on the schedule, so hopefully this year, everybody will be able to participate. So.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I would move to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Raton Elks Adult Softball League and the City of Raton.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve item D, the MOU between the Elks and the City of Raton. Any further discussion? All in favor, please vote by the sign of aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item E, deliberate and act on Lodgers Tax Advisory Board recommendations. We'll take these individually. First, we have the International Santa Fe Trail Balloon Rally by Raton Main Street. Mr. Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, in your packet, you have all the relevant information for both of these proposals. The balloon rally, a well-known event that Raton Main Street's put on for years, and we have their president, Ms. Christine Valentini, here if you have any questions for that. It does come with a recommendation for approval from the Lodgers Tax Advisory Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Comments or questions from the commission?
How many balloons do we have so far? Do you know?
They have until May 25th. They have until May 25th to get all their applications in. Last year we had 15, so we're hoping for the same amount. So I'm not going to give any count just yet because we're still bringing them in.
Sure, great.
But it should be good.
Anything further from the commission?
Is this about the same amount that was granted last time?
Actually, thanks for the question, but it is about the same amount. We did have some a decline in the amount for the T-shirts, but we did have an increase in the amount for portable, so which is desperately needed in how do I want to say clean. And, they're coming from Angel Fire. He was at the Gate City Music Festival last year. CK Portables, they're dependable and they service every day. So actually the cost that he's given us is pretty well legit for what they have to do.
It looks like I'm sorry, Commissioner Hoover, did you have anything further?
No.
It looks like the total cost that you guys are bringing to the table is over $14,000.
Yes.
So you guys have invested a lot in this event.
That's all through sponsorships. Our corporate sponsor is InBank. And then, of course, we have the propane sponsor, which luckily we do not have to pay for. They provide all the propane all 3 days of the rally. So Suburban Propane is our corporate propane sponsor. So that's a big help. because of all the other expenses like event insurance and all of that. And then I'll be back in May with regard to the event form. I've been waiting on the certificates of insurance for that, so.
And it looks like you have some expenses that you're also providing for pilots to stay overnight and things of that nature.
The biggest expense is for hotel overnight accommodations to the pilots. We do help them out with the cash stipend when they arrive. We also help with the crew chief that usually requires a separate room, and if they do, then we help them with a stipend, a cash stipend as well. It's not much, but I mean, it does help them with some. Over the 4th of July weekend, you know, all the room rates, they kind of shoot up, and that's everywhere, you know, so it's understandable. But the pilots do come, they have to pay for their own gas to travel here. We are getting some pilots coming from Wisconsin, Colorado. We've already, and of course, the majority of them come from Albuquerque, so they do pay for their own gas expense. They stay for all 3 nights, some a little longer, and the majority of them will bring family and crew, and so actually, Patricia, just to give you a little bit of statistics here, she did apply for a grant for next year through the New Mexico Tourism, and we selected the balloon rally because of those expenses. She looked at statistics, and it was interesting to find through Placer AI that 43% of people of the attendance, and it is free to the public, was actually from out of town, not within the community. So, and of those that came from out of town, 25% booked rooms, hotel stays. So she said that that's a pretty good statistic for overnight accommodation. So it does bring people, puts heads in beds for sure. And, you know, so all I can say is it's been a signature event that Raton Main Street has been organizing since we took it over in 2013. It was canceled in the years 2011 and 2012. 2011 because of the track fire, 2012 because the chamber no longer existed. And so then Raton Main Street was asked to bring it in. It's a signature event. It's not a fundraiser for Raton Main Street at all. So we barely, you know, last year we'd actually kind of ended up in the red. So we, you know, over the years we have been able to build up a little bit of seed money, so that's helped. But like I said, the biggest expense is our pilots' overnight accommodations. And if we didn't provide that, we wouldn't get any pilots. So
I appreciate you all seeking sponsorships for that. I mean,
the
just
sponsorship
essential.
does help. We get a full sponsorship for a balloon is $600, and the half sponsorship is $300. So that sponsorship, along with the corporate sponsorship, does help to pay for some of those expenses not covered by lodger's tax.
Thank you for that data on how many people are booking rooms. That's really important. I think as we have a little less lodger's tax money going forward, it's important that these events actually prove that we got people staying. And you guys do a wonderful job, and we appreciate you taking that on, because it's a big ask. It's a busy time too.
It is. It's a very busy time for us, but thank you.
Any further from the commission?
I do have a question, Madam Mayor, for Ms. Antonucci.
Thank you. I think we're finished. Ms. Valentini, thank you. Michael, Ann, we maybe have a question for you.
As it stands now on the lodger's tax, are we expected to run a shortfall again?
Yes, so in your packet, we've provided you the same report that we gave to the Lodgers Tax Board. You'll see, as of the end of the third quarter, we were down 9.21%, so that equates to about almost $37,000. That is the shortfall that we're experiencing year to date. So our estimated revenues for FY26 was $500,000. Last year we just fell shy of the $500,000 mark, and we currently within our budget have basically budgeted so that the ending cash balance would be zero. So there really is no cushion built into that budget. So when we talked with the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board, you'll see in the report they have several line items that they can work with. So we do have annual events, print advertising, the digital media. So on some of the requests, they kind of divvy them up amongst various line items. Currently in our contingency fund, there's about $16,000 that's not committed within that fund. So I've kind of cautioned the board that we are going to have to make some cuts within that budget this year. But I'm not saying that the commission may not still end up with a shortfall at the end of the fiscal.
It typically, this balloon rally is part of our annual events? Yes, okay. And I see there's, that line item is still.
But do we have any contractual commitments that hit that $16,000 line item?
I try to account for those so you can see the committed funding right now. We recently approved the beautification coalition for the downtown beautification. That's currently committed. We haven't reimbursed them for any expenses yet, but I do, allow for what has been committed. So definitely tough budget year for lodgers tax, a little bit tougher than a couple years ago when we were experiencing a deficit. I think the other thing that we've pointed out, and it's also on your lodgers tax comparison sheet, is we have reported that the Travel Inn Motel, as of today, is permanently closed. I don't know if that property will sell. It is my understanding it needs a lot of work, so even if it does sell, it would probably be a while before it could reopen. But their annual lodgers tax usually runs around $20,000 a year. So I mean, we know going into the new fiscal year that we will be experiencing that known deficit. So that's something we'll talk about during our budget meetings.
Anything further from the commission?
I think the only other requests that we might be getting between now and the end of the fiscal year, probably Gate City. We typically would give them an allotment in this fiscal year and then the second distribution in the next fiscal year. So probably at the next lodgers tax meeting, we would receive that request. Do you know of any others, Desiree?
Not off the top of my head, I don't, but I do know that we do get the Gate City.
And I think something that we'll talk about during our budget meetings for the next fiscal year is, possibly billboard contracts. I don't know if those would qualify to come out of economic development, but we could certainly kind of go line by line and see if there's anything that we want to reallocate to a different fund for FY27.
Thank you. Anything further? I would entertain a motion on item E, International Santa Fe Trail Balloon Rally by Raton Main Street.
I would recommend approval of the International Santa Fe Trail Balloon Rally by Raton Main Street funding for lodgers tax.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the request for the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board recommendation for the International Santa Fe Trail Balloon Rally by Raton Main Street. Anything further from the commission? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item E, number 2, Lodgers Tax Advisory Board recommendation, Cinco de Mayo by Nasty Whips Car Club. Mr. Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, in your packet, you see the specifics of this request. Recommendation from Lodgers Tax Board for $7,096.23. It's essentially the Cinco de Mayo event from last year. The Nasty Whips Car Club is an organization that has been formed since then, but it is still Carmen Martinez. Carmen is here this evening, And I believe we have Carmelita on the phone as well. If you have any questions for either of them, they are both available too.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Comments or questions from the commission? I see that there's an estimate of 500 out-of-town guests, and I saw that last year as well. Did you guys have a way to track that? Are you using anything? No. Do you know if any of those people, do they spend the night? Is it how many?
Our vendors do.
Your
We
vendors
have them
spend-
coming from Albuquerque and from Colorado.
Do you know about how many vendors you guys usually have out there for that?
We have, can we get Carmelita on?
Carmelita, are you available on the phone?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Would you like to answer that about the vendors?
Yes, so usually we have about 3 that come from Colorado and they stay for both days. And then we have about 7 coming from Albuquerque and they stay for both days as well. They had already been looking for, I'm pretty sure they already have their hotels booked for sure, but I do know that I just talked to another vendor yesterday and he was asking where would be the best place to book a room as well to stay for both days.
Are you guys able to work on gathering some data on your participants, or maybe even work with the Center for Community Innovation, or I believe they have
Yes,
that?
well, I had actually asked because for last year we had 1,500 people there from what Pacer AI had said, and then I had oh wait, I think I asked about the wrong event. Sorry, I got confused. But yeah, so we did get the information for that, and I guess I'd have to look at it more at the statistics to see what it actually said, but I just got like the actual amount of people. And then the first year we had 2,600 people, but I think that was due to like Colorado. Last year it dropped because Colorado and Trinidad, they were having a Cinco de Mayo event the same weekend that we had it last year.
Thank you.
So,
yeah, we
yeah, I could get the information too because I asked Patty, and then I could ask Anne.
Okay. It's definitely good for us to hear the statistics and the reports. It helps us make our decisions better, especially with our budget looking so lean. Thank you. Other questions from the commission?
Madam Mayor, noting it's probably third hand and not the most valuable information, I do recall having a conversation with City Manager Mestis that they had looked at Placer AI data about this, and it was a number that seemed larger than he had anticipated. The gist of his conversation was more like, man, can you believe this many people went to this event? Couldn't quote from memory what those numbers were. I'm sure it's something that Cynthia would probably have access to if we had a little time to look over, and it may be even provide unique identifiers of where they came from. But I do remember having that conversation with Rick last year.
It looks like you all are contributing about $3,000 towards the $3,150 towards the costs of the event. Is there are there plans in the future to be able to expand the amount that you're contributing?
Yes, I plan to get more sponsors, more corporate sponsors, and because right now it's mainly just actual individual sponsors, and more vendors, of course, because the vendors are the main source of income for what we do.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for answering my questions. What is the wish of the, go ahead.
Well, this is back to Ms. Antonucci. I really do wish we would put a line on these applications for that Placer AI information. We're paying for it. We need that information because, kind of to allude to the mayor's comment, it's like, as our lodger's tax continues to decline, we're going to have to make some tough decisions here, and without any kind of data, we're guessing as to what to fund and what to cut. Because I mean, we don't want to wind up like we did last year, where we're having to pull out an economic development fund, and we still haven't been able to replace that money.
Commissioner Hoger.
Is there a question, because I don't know, I'm asking, is there a question about the accuracy of the Placer AI based on what Jason just said?
No, not a question of actually, just what the numbers were at the time. You know, I couldn't quote from memory that there were 3,800 visitors and what they were. It just that I remember having the conversation with Mr. Mestis, more of shock of a lot of people attended the event, not really calling into question the data, just surprised at how many people actually had attended.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, so he was,
Okay.
yeah, it was more about just how popular the event was.
That was his expression. Yes.
Okay. I thought you meant the opposite.
No,
that he
no,
didn't
absolutely
think
not.
anything.
No, it was more a surprise that, you know, it looked like a lot of people were there, but when the data came in, it was surprised at how many people Place where I had indicated actually had attended the event. Because, you know, I think we see the event in real time. We drive by, we see 200 people there. An event going on for this amount of time, I think the Place where AI data shows some people come for an hour, some people are there all day, but there's a lot of, you know, different times and different people that are kind of swapping out. So you look at a park and you see 100 people, but you don't realize that those 100 people have turned over 2 or 3 times throughout the day.
Thank you.
I would move to approve the Cinco de Mayo by Nasty Whips Car Club lot use tax recommendation.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the Cinco de Mayo Nasty Whips Car Club request. That is $7,096.23. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Carmelita. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, item F, deliberate and act on recommendation of award for the demolition at 220 North 4th Street. Mr. Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, as you can see in the packet, that the Director of Engineering went out for informal bids, received 4 of those. With the low bid, McGill Enterprises at $38,000, excluding GRT. With GRT, we have a project cost of $41,138.15 to remove this building at 220 North 4th Street. It is a fire-damaged home that's sat in that condition for several years. Jaden is here this evening if you have any questions, or if Jane would like to add anything to that. But from the city standpoint, we would recommend approval of it.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Mr. Wells, would you like to add anything?
Sure. Mayor, Commission. I'm Jaden Welch, City Engineer. I solicited informal bids, anticipating this project would be under 60K. Our procurement rules allow us to go as long as we establish a scope that everyone can bid the same thing. We did receive 4 bids. I was hoping to receive more. I put it out to about a dozen different contractors. And however, the spread of the bids that we did receive appeared somewhat competitive as far, and this property is a little bit more trickier than our last property, so the bids did come in a little bit higher. There's quite a bit of terracing on this property, and the only real access to the property is from the alley, and plus there are a handful of pretty large trees that we're having taken down and removed, all of which drive up that cost a little bit. So,
Is the property such the city will receive the deed on this, or do we have to lien it?
so we approached the owner about signing over the deed to the city, and he's willing to do that. However, he recently filed for bankruptcy apparently, and the deed or this property is listed in his assets, even though it has a fire damaged property on it or home on it. And so he is working with his attorney to see what would be involved in signing over the deed to us. Otherwise, if that's not possible, then it would be an instance where we have to lien and foreclose on this property.
In the past, the liening and foreclosing process heads about how much did it cost? It doesn't have to be exact.
It's $3,000 to $6,000, somewhere in that range.
Do we have any plans for disposal once this is done?
We would need to, have a sale, something that we've been talking about doing, and should get proficient at doing.
I would assume the bankruptcy may complicate the clean and lean process, though.
In that there might be additional interests in the property, potentially, yes.
Well, I mean, it's kind of out of the owner's control and now into the court's control.
Mm-hmm.
Anything further, Mayor Pro Tem?
No.
Any other comments or questions from the commission? I think my questions were already asked, so thank you so much, Mr. Walsh.
No problem.
If nothing else, I would entertain a motion on item.
I'm going to approve the recommendation of award for demolition at 220 North 4th Street.
Second.
Motion is second for item F, the demolition at 220 North 4th. Award to McGill Enterprises for a total of $41,138.15. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item G, deliberate and act on recommendation of bid award of the Raton Regional Aquatic Center sand filter replacement project. Mr. Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, as you can see in your packet, we did go out for bids. We had been just discussing the sand filter project and the budgeting for it over the last couple of years. And essentially what we have are antiquated sand filters that have reached end of life and are in need of replacement due to their condition. They are obsolete in the sense that we cannot buy single replacement covers, diaphragms, those things that you would hope to. The pricing is actually, I believe, less than we anticipated that we thought this scope would cost. Late in the bid process, there was noted that there is a crack in the pool that's going to require additional evaluation. And, right now we're speculating what that may be. I would caution the commission that it's something when was brought to my attention, caused me greater concern than most, as this building was designed with an underdrain system that was not installed as part of a cost-cutting measure reduction at the time this building was constructed. The problem with that is if we do have a significant crack, we will allow pool water to reach clay soil, which could be detrimental to the long-term health of this pool. So I think once it's drained, we have to look at that. To every problem, there's a fix. The water department has successfully used an epoxy under pressure injection system at the basins in Cimarron to stave off similar type problems. So if it is more than a surface crack, we would have a method of fixing that. It could be incrementally more expensive than what we're describing here, but you don't know what you don't know until you know. So, and we would recommend the approval of this, the sand filter, and the reality is we've obligated a significant GRT to be diverted towards the operation and maintenance of this facility, so it fits within funding without taking away needs from elsewhere. But it's just kind of the nature of the beast. Pumps run 24 hours a day, the pool's full of water, the filters get backwashed. It's a great facility, but it is a bit of an albatross on the budget every year.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Comments, questions from the commission?
You're confident, though, that there's not a documented water loss?
No, I wouldn't say I am confident of that. I mean, I think when you're measuring gallons by hundreds of thousands, it's easy to say we haven't seen a tremendous amount of water loss or no water loss when we're talking about hairline cracks that could seep over 24-hour windows every day. To know what's lost in backwash versus what a kid gets out of the pool and has dripping off of his body, I do not feel confident that anyone would know that that's not significant.
Is there, I know it would involve a time when it couldn't be used. Have they thought of going through a shutdown procedure before you drain it to know what it is, just to see what loss you have over, say, a week? You would see just how much your water surface would drop.
That's entirely possible, Commissioner Campbell. I would tell you that I am not the mathematician that could take into account evaporative conditioning, dew point versus loss of water. That
On an enclosed
Jaden would be great for this assignment, or JR. But
I think on an enclosed pool, it would probably be rather minimal that you would lose in evaporation.
No, I would agree with that, and I think it's definitely something to look at. I'm hoping that we get this drained, you put some light on something that you're having to view underwater, and it's, you know, surface cracking in shotcrete and nothing to be worried about. But, you know, the pessimistic nature of Jason is that I was around when we built this pool, doing the inspection for it, and I know it was a tough decision to make to remove the under drain and that cost, but it was something that is, I know, troubled Mr. Barry throughout the tenure, that, you know, from an engineering standpoint, it's something that scared us, that if we ever had a problem, it could be a major one.
And the company that submitted this quote, they can do the repairs if that crack appears to be something that has to be addressed.
CM is a reputable pool company. I mean, I think that yes, it's possible. More than likely, when we get this pool drained, I would like to put the best eyes that we have on this and evaluate it farther. I mean, there's a difference to me between engineering eyes and vendor eyes, and I would probably call in a favor and have Scott Berry come take a look at it before I felt really good about it.
And they're proposing doing the work when?
JR had a window that he would prefer to be closed down, and they were able to meet that. And what was that, in September?
Right after back to school.
Yeah, he was trying to coincide with an area when our revenue loss would be least, and I want to say that's early September, somewhere like that.
Okay.
That was me, my question. Any further? Go ahead, Commissioner.
Just a couple of questions I have on it is, how, is this crack something that was recently noticed, or do we believe it's been there a while, or?
I believe it was recently noticed, but that doesn't necessarily mean it hasn't been there. JR routinely, you know, acid cleans the pool and has it drained every so many years at a minimum, if not every year, and it wasn't noticed up until that point. But I mean, I think shotcrete by nature, you know, has some expansion and contraction. I think that with our pump issues and our HVAC issues, we may have experienced more temperature swings in the pool and the building itself that could have something to do with it. Could just be age. But I do believe it's a recent discovery. Jaden, is that your understanding as well?
I was told about it about 2 years
And so apparently it doesn't appear to have gotten any worse in those 2 years.
I would say no.
I don't think so, no.
With an under drain, that would, you know, be your concern if it really is one, that it would continue to grow if you weren't carrying that water away. I guess the last question I have is, do you have any idea why on a project this size, you only had one bidder that came in?
Yes. Quite frankly, we have struggled to get anyone to want to work on our swimming pool. I mean, we struggled to get people to work on pumps. And actually, a lot of our equipment seems to be territorial, subscription-based, you know, our BEX controller and that. And we are so remote that we actually, I believe, a vendor out of Phoenix released the territorial rights to Raton to CEM based in Colorado because they had no indication of wanting to travel here to do the work. So I think it's highly specialized, and I think the fact that we're government takes us into a different realm. I think backyard swimming pools in Houston or Las Vegas are a dime a dozen, and anybody works on them. When you start getting into wage rates and bonding requirements and stuff, I think we kind of reach rare air. And so,
Because currently, the last time I was there, you can visually inspect the exterior of the south wall of that pool, but the east, west, north walls are subterranean. Don't get access.
And I'm not even really 100% sure what we can see on the south side in the mechanical area, that there isn't a gap between the mechanical wall and the shotcreted bowl of the pool. I think you're looking at a 90-degree angle there, so I'm thinking you're not seeing the pool even on the south side.
Anything further from the commission? Entertain a motion on item G for the CEM sales and service contract for a total of $344,847.87.
I'll move we approve the award for the Raton Regional Aquatic Center sand filter replacement project.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the sand filter replacement project bid for CEM sales and service for the stated amount with GRT. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. On to item H, deliberate and act on quote from Phil Long Ford for the purchase of a 2026 F-150 Crew Cab 4x4 for the Public Works Department, utilizing state price agreement number 40-00000-24-00068. Mr. Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, in your packet, you can see the vehicle mentioned in this agenda item. In the budgeting process nearly a year ago, this commission was considerate enough to include an item for Public Works to purchase an additional pickup truck. We are a little picky and trucks are hard to come by. One, we always try to shop local if our dollars we feel are spent best at home. So I try to purchase off-state price agreement from Phil Long Ford whenever possible. I also do not have a high level of confidence in turbo engines. So to thread the needle, the folks at Phil Long have been looking for a truck that kind of fit natural aspiration, but a Phil Long Ford truck since we got this allotment. And luckily, by chance, what we had been seeking out was an extended cab, F-150. They actually have this crew cab, which is dual doors, F-150, at Phil Long in Raton, and they're willing to extend the state price agreement. It's your basic Oxford White XL model, no bells and whistle, F-150 fleet vehicle. And I would personally recommend that we approve this as it is in the budget, and it is what we are intending to purchase.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Comments or questions from the commission?
Madam Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem, we'll let you ask some questions.
I own stock in Ford, so I will have to abstain, I suppose.
Right.
But you also know my feeling about expanding the auto fleet, so.
Anything further from the commission? Okay.
Well, I would move to approve the quote from Phil Long Ford for the purchase of the 2026 F-150 Crew Cab 4x4 for Public Works Department, utilizing state price agreement number 40-0000024-00068.
Since it is in the budget and I don't own stock in Ford, I second that.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote on this, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor? Mayor Chatterley?
Yes.
Commissioner Schuster?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
And Commissioner Hoger?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Staff.
Item I, deliberate and act on Resolution 2026-20 fiscal year 26 budget adjustment number 9. Mr. Phillips?
Mayor and Commission, we have a budget adjustment that you all should have. And in addition to that, we have a city treasurer that knows all about it. So I would defer to Ms. Antonucci.
Thank you, Ms. Antonucci.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission. Apologies for getting this to you just right before the meeting. As you know, it's the end of the third quarter, so I've kind of tried to do a comprehensive review of all of our financials to put this together for you this evening. As I was sitting back there, I did notice like 3 typos, and I apologize. Under the police salaries line item, I needed to correct that, and then on the overtime line item, that was also an incorrect number. And then I did misspell the word, and I guess I need my readers. the word purchase under the Public Works vehicle that you just approved. So it says to purchase F-150 from Phil Longford. So I've corrected that, and I will provide the city clerk a corrected budget adjustment for the signature copy. With that, you will see that I am accounting for the revenues from some insurance recoveries. We did have the sale of some municipal property earlier this year with the BTU transaction, and then also the small cities assistance. So I've tried to adjust line items where I can, where there's funding available, but the majority of the general fund budget adjustments would be utilizing those additional revenue sources. We do have some salary savings within the police department due to vacant positions, so I was able to utilize some of that funding for the budget adjustments necessary in that department. I also, within the fire fund, when I did the budget this year, I didn't include the amount of the, we call it the intercept for the debt service. That's the payment that is intercepted from the annual distribution, and that goes towards the debt service on the two vehicles that we got a couple of years ago, the ladder truck and the pumper. So I'm just kind of adding that into the budget to make the numbers balance. Other than that, in anticipation of your approval of the Ford F-150, I did increase that line item by $2,000. On the CEM bid award, I did not include that in the budget adjustment. I'm going to take a look at that, and maybe in the next budget adjustment I can include that. As you know, when you discussed, it would cross into the new fiscal year. So I'll work with our city engineer. If the company needs a PO, we may have to issue it in this fiscal year and then void it and reissue it July 1. So we'll work it out on my end as far as the accounting of that, but we will also make sure that we budget for that in the new fiscal year, since that is a fairly large amount. Let's see. I am also putting in the Roundhouse Park grant. I think we had mentioned at a previous meeting, we will be receiving an extension on that. We just have not received the grant agreement for the amendment to that. The Public Works Director is actively spending the money as quickly as he can. We did issue several POs to CES in the last couple days for that project. So I am including the award, and that was just a little over $1 million. It was $1,035,370, and it'll go into the Fund 301. Within the sanitation fund, those are just line item adjustments. The net change nets to zero. And then within the aquatic center, I am doing a transfer. Earlier in the year, our aquatic center director did take on some additional duties for community development, which is a function of economic development. So we would be supplementing a portion of his salary from economic development. So that's just a budget adjustment that I probably should have done earlier in the year, but was on my list. So as we kind of get near to the end of the fiscal year, we try to do budget adjustments once a month, but certainly I think the small cities assistance, that was a welcome surprise this year, coming in a lot higher than what we anticipated. Some of these adjustments for police, let's see, group insurance, para, even on the fire side, I kind of under budgeted those, but I think a lot of that was the complexity of having the grant for recruitment for both of those departments. Now both of those grants will expire as of June 30, and going into the new fiscal year, we won't have the two recruitment grants anymore. So We're working with those departments on their staffing numbers and making sure that the city, that we can handle the staffing levels. PD has quite a few vacancies, so as we move through the fiscal year, we just kind of calculate what the savings are due to vacancies and then reallocate that within their budget as needed. Mostly in the overtime line item. So when they're short-staffed, we see a little bit higher overtime. Now on the fire side, with wildlands season starting a little bit earlier this year, some of the overtime could potentially be reimbursed through a forestry grant, but we wouldn't reclassify that until we actually receive the reimbursement. So there's a chance that I might be adjusting some of that overtime to reflect our fund. 201 is the fire grants. I stand for any questions.
Any comments or questions from the commission?
It's hard work, thank you.
Yeah. And then on the lodgers tax non-promo side, you did recently approve the new contract for the fireworks show. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that we still get to have that this year. We're praying for rain. So I did make those adjustments. I did want to mention that if, as we talk about lodgers tax, when we kind of had to bail out lodgers tax a couple years ago, we really didn't have the funds available in the non-promo fund. This year, I guess when we look at the financial report for that specific fund, there could potentially be some funds available in the non-promo if it was the commission's desire to move those into promotional. So that would probably be my recommendation if we do get into that situation, but that would certainly be your decision to make. We are getting some legislative capital outlay funding for the Schuler project. We have told Billy Donati that if there's funds left over, we could look at doing the carpet out of those funds. So currently we have $40,000 budgeted in non-promo just for the carpet. So there might be a little bit of wiggle room within the Fund 205, kind of as a bailout to the promotional fund.
Thank you.
I guess the only question I would have in the fire funds, maintenance and replacement, do you think that's a sufficient number?
Well, the interesting thing about the fire fund is we have a pretty healthy reserve that will probably carry over into the next fiscal year. So we're really just kind of putting money in line items. The chief probably could speak more to that, what his needs are, but he just recently submitted the application for next fiscal year. And I think our reserve balance right now is slightly over $1 million. So I'll work with him to, see what we need to budget in the next fiscal year to spend some of those carryover funds. But yeah, we're just really kind of putting the money in various line items.
Any further comments or questions from the commission?
And then within the general fund, we did have several other hits to the budget just with the retirement of our HR director. And then we did have a 3-month overlap with the former city manager and the interim city manager's salary expense. So I've tried to account for that in here as well.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion, item I.
I will move to approve resolution 2026-20 FY26 budget adjustment number 9.
A second.
Motion is second for item I, the fiscal year 26 budget adjustment number 9. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item J, deliberate and act on resolution 2026-21, approval of fiscal year 26 third quarter financial report. Ms. Antonucci.
Mayor and Commission, we bring to you this evening our Financial report as of reconciled through March 31st, 2026. You'll see under the financial summary, the ending cash balance is just a little over 3.4 million. I did change the report slightly just based on conversations we've had where we know that the $1 million currently invested in the CD well exceeds the 1/12 requirement, which is just a little over 600,000. So rather than subtract out the 1/12 and the $1 million, this would give you a little bit more accurate available cash balance. So as of March 31st, you have $2,436,718.25 available cash. Just within the last couple weeks, we did close out the taxiway B project at the airport, and I've received final reimbursement on that project. I'm hoping that we will complete the electric vault project, and once that's done, and I get final reimbursement, then I could start to move those funds back into the general fund, and then we also did a sizable transfer to kind of cash flow the Kearney project. So hopefully, once most of these projects are complete, we'll kind of make the general fund whole again. I've also detailed out for you your cash balances and the remaining funds. As far as gross receipts tax distribution, this would be the April distribution, which reflects February business activity. That puts us about 6.31%, still above our budget projection. Also, I think that's the only thing I wanted to mention on that. And then as well, the third quarter report must be submitted to DFA no later than April 30th. So upon approval this evening, we'll start working on getting that submitted to them. I've also included in your packet the gas tax comparison. Currently, I guess it's improved slightly. I mean, even though we don't think so, our April distribution was $11,421. I think we kind of like it when it's closer to the $20,000 range. But in comparison to the previous fiscal year, we're closer to 3% down, which isn't too bad. So we've collected $150,000 this year. So as we've talked about even this year's budget or next, about the possibility with all of the, our Public Works Director's been very successful in getting money, and we still have quite a few pending applications out there. There is a possibility, and we might not know until the final budget, if the general fund would have to supplement any of the matching funds. So we'll continue to monitor that. There's been kind of a delay in some of these projects starting, so we've kind of been able to accrue funds the last year, but I think you currently have 3 projects that have gone out to bid and have started, so we'll have to kind of start paying those bills here pretty soon. Cannabis excise tax, that one has done pretty well this year. We're currently at $46,000 year to date. And then I've also included for you the unaudited financial statement. The main thing is, we are currently working with department heads on the FY27 budget. But equally important is closing out this fiscal year. So we do have quite a few grants that are just one-year grants that we would need to work on closing those out before June 30. So that's going to be kind of our primary focus. And then hopefully we can get a draft of the budget ready for you, and we can have some meaningful discussions and a budget workshop. So I think the month of May will be pretty busy just with budget discussions. But overall, I just want to commend our departments. I mean, everybody, I think, runs their departments as lean as possible. And so I think we will end the fiscal year well within everybody's budget.
Thank you.
And if there's expenses that, you know, as we get kind of late into the fiscal year, lead times, and I think Public Works Director got kind of lucky that Phil Longford had a vehicle on the lot. But generally, you know, if department heads are looking to make those kind of purchases this late in the fiscal year, more than likely we would budget it for next fiscal year.
Again, I definitely want to commend you and extend my appreciation for all you do with this, and particularly with all the grants you're managing, all the cash flow, moving things around, covering this, waiting for that. I can only imagine what you're going through, so I really appreciate the work that you do on this, particularly with all the juggling.
Yeah, I think the juggling and the cash flow make it a little bit more difficult, but at the same time, I'm glad that we have the cash balance that we do to be able to do that.
Yeah. Any comments or questions from the commission on the third quarter financial report? If there are no comments or questions, I would entertain a motion on resolution 2026-21.
I would recommend approval of Resolution 2026-21, approval of the fiscal year 26 third quarter financial report.
Second.
And a motion, a second, to adopt resolution 2026-21, the fiscal year 26 third quarter financial report. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item K, deliberate and act on resolution 2026-22, authorizing purchase of one new Braun Ford F-550 Type 1 ambulance utilizing the Houston Galveston Area Council HGAC contract. Mr. Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, you have in front of you Resolution 2026-22, which has a lot of whereases to get to the point of we are trying to buy an ambulance here. So the intention of this is we've got some grant funds. The City Commission had previously allocated some budgeted funds from general fund reserves to secure this ambulance transfer, and we have some commingled funds coming from Colfax County. I believe it is not as much as we had potentially hoped for, but we're thankful to have it nonetheless. So ultimately, we are looking to purchase an ambulance that would be valued at $549,810, and our recommendation would be to approve it. It's utilizing the Houston Galveston area price agreement, which is something that's been piggybacked on for my entire time at the city. We do have Chief Burke in attendance this evening if you'd like to ask any questions, or if you'd like to give him a hard time because his new toy costs 10 times what mine does, you know. Turnabout would be fair play. They're both Fords, you know. Mine doesn't haul around people that need help, but, you know, it could, theoretically.
Might not save their life.
But if you have a broken ankle, we'll give you a ride.
Chief Burke, that's kind of calling you out to come up to talk to us for a little bit.
He stayed for 2.5 hours for a reason. He wanted to talk.
You deserve to give us a little overview here of this. Thank you.
So, Mayor, Commission, as Jason alluded to, cost is $549 for this ambulance. The county has dedicated $40,000 to this purchase. Additionally, we have $205,000 off a special project grant from the EMS Bureau that we've applied for. So that's coming to the table also. Minus those two, we're looking at $304,000 and change that we're going to have to allocate from the coffers, but also we're going to reapproach the county this coming new fiscal for an additional 40 to offset what we were given by word, new management changeover. So we were advised to reapproach beginning of the new fiscal to obtain some additional funding. With that fleet would be all brand new, minus I think we're going to keep one for outside deployments. Violence, we don't really scratch or put New Mexico pinstripes all over if we have issues out in the area where they go. And with the new models of where we're purchasing, we're looking at remounts of chassis, and that's going to be cost efficient. And we're looking at $100,000 to $200,000 when we go to remount on chassis. All of these will be able to convert versus our old fleet, which were not applicable for that style.
And that gives you how many ambulances available with?
Three. 3 in town, and then we'll have truly a reserve one if we have issues, which just because it's new, we all know the drill. We've actually had issues before. Updates or something happens where we've actually had to go down to 2, where we have 3, and then we'll have a reserve. So we're getting rid of aged fleet, bringing in new, but we still have to have a reserve in the event something happens where 2 to 3 meds are out and we have 1 in town.
This is a diesel model?
Sir?
It's a diesel?
Yes.
If I'm doing the math right, because there's a lot of different numbers on here, it looks like we're about 49,000 over budget. Is that kind of what we're looking? Because we had budgeted 255,000 in reserves already, and then we had the 40,000 from the county, and then you have that grant fund of 205,000. Is that correct?
If that's the math.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yes, ma'am.
Michael,
Is that about right? Okay.
You are correct.
Hopefully, I had my phone, hopefully that does better than my brain, but,
Nope.
so, and if you do approach the county again, it would be for an additional 40, so if that if it happened, it would be just 9,000 over budget, which is a little easier to, and I know ambulances are very expensive and many, it seems like it's a couple years out every time we
Yep.
go for an
And
ambulance.
there's some offset too, that we can reallocate off of that 201 line item that Michael had mentioned. We can recoup and readjust. As units deploy, we have the availability to reallocate funds off of one line item to a different piece to offset or recoup expendables that we've used.
Now, this price tag includes the light bars, the radio.
It's fully outfitted, fully decaled. We already have said radio, just waiting for the install. We haven't been billed out for that install, so we still have that allocated already. And we've looked forward instead of showing up, and then where do we get the monies for the small ticket items that I would categorize as. But everything is waiting and or going to be put in place when it's delivered.
So the other units that you have in place now, those boxes are able to be
Yes.
transferred to another chassis?
Yes.
Anything further from the commission?
Just curious, so it sounds like you can have 2 out for transport at a time? Is that about right?
We can have 1 out transport. We still have to dedicate 2 minimum for our 911s.
Okay.
That's our standard.
Okay.
The state has different rules, but our standard is 2 because it's not just the city proper that we respond to.
Right.
We will put 1 out on the road, and then give our due diligence and our word once that comes back into town, swap the crew, and send it as long as we're still in our time frames of on the clock. But we try and we maintain 2 in town for the inevitable that it seems like it never fails. We have 1 911 out, we have a transfer out, we have another call within minutes. Sometimes we're back to back. So just like in the event of our previous fire we just had at our lake, we had dedicated units up there, including the ambulance. We made a phone call to MCMC. Hey, all ground transports we're not feasible because we have an issue. We have concerns that take priority. They understand. Once we got that ambulance back in service, within 9 p.m. that night, we were back and ready in service after having that ambulance that was deployed up there for 7 days back on the road. And then we've been on the road since these guys have been back. So.
And these have all the new equipment, right, that you were, yeah.
New equipment and then updating and updates. So with allocations and then billables from which we're reallocating and put in for the new fiscal stuff, new fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief Burke. Appreciate it. Entertain a motion on item K.
I would move to approve resolution 2026-22 authorizing purchase of 1 new brown Ford F-550 Type 1 ambulance utilizing the Houston-Galveston Area Council contract.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for item K to adopt resolution 2026-22. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
And I abstain.
Mayor Pro Tem Honeyfield abstains. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Item L, deliberate and act on approval of vinyl design for the Capulan, New Mexico landmark billboard. Mr. Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, you have in front of you, I believe it is 3 designs of potential skins for the Capulan billboard. And I'm assuming that it is your purview of which one of the 3 we go with. Is this rolling? One of the above, none of the above. But
And then we go back to the PCI for the different designs.
I like number 2.
I apologize, Madam Mayor. Can I just have the specific reason for the abstaining of the?
Oh, for the last one.
Ford.
yes.
Ford. That's right. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Better abstain.
We should get an opinion on that, so see if it's a thing or not a thing.
Yeah, I don't know
I think
either.
you may have to cross a certain percentage of ownership before
Before it becomes an
issue.
issue for conflict of
Yeah, I'm
interest.
not Warren Buffett by any stretch.
Maybe a call to the leagues to find out so that our mayor pro tem can be voting again. Might be in order, Mr. Phillips, if you don't mind looking in on that.
We can definitely look into that.
Thank you. Discussion on item L. Commissioner Hoger.
Compared to the last ones we had, I really envisioned a real photograph that's more eye-catching than just, I don't know what you call these bicolor images, but like for number 2, it'd be nice to have just a real, our visitor center is attractive with the Raton sign outside. I recommend a real picture rather than just the drawing, so to speak.
So you prefer number 2? Or do you have a preference? Sorry.
I like the fact that or this one, that it's directing people to the visitor center, but with any of them, I would just recommend a real photograph.
Included on that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Other commissioners?
Yeah,
Any thoughts?
I like the same thing, something that gives direction, but I also would like some version like the front one where it shows some sort of picture, even if it's of the visitor center or something, where it's not just a sign with a logo and if it was possible to have some kind of picture like they did on the other one, of even the visitor center, something that would, I don't know, just
pop
more than
with
just
our blue
that.
sky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know how quick we have to trim them in. The visitor center has buffalo grass, so it takes a little while to get green. So I mean, if we have a little bit of time, that picture would look much better 30 days from now than it looks today. Or if we kind of crop out or AI the grass greener, but it is, I saw it this morning, it's getting there, but it's not real photogenic today on the landscape front. But I would
We have
agree.
existing pictures.
We may have something, over time that would, last year's picture would be great. I mean, it is a good looking building.
I mean, I personally like number 3 if I had to choose, but I would add, I think, as you guys are saying, I would add some kind of like balloons or something exciting here, and then have the Explore Raton on there. I don't want to make it too busy, but one picture I think would be more successful than the 3. I'm not a graphic designer. I do a little bit of websites and stuff, so I'm not an expert. But I liked the way that it says yes, yeah. So maybe marrying all 3 into something. I liked the arrow just because it seemed more demanding. Like stop at our visitor center, 27 miles ahead. I did like that 27. So
And incorporate a picture into that one.
incorporate a picture. Is
Yes,
that?
one of the balloons is- And I think we have actually better pictures of balloons than this one.
Yeah. Where they're just like closer and yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have to have a motion on that, or can we just postpone it for a new design?
Well, that was gonna be my question, is if you would like staff to kind of take your wishes and spirit into account and delegate someone with much better eyes for these things, like Michael and or Desiree, to, move those wishes forward rather than bring it back to you at another meeting. I would not volunteer for that.
How does the commission feel about that suggestion?
Well, my only observation, being of a simpler mind than the rest of the commission, I wouldn't want Raton to be associated with distracted driving by making this too involved. Especially if they're at Ford. Exactly, if they're at a Ford and they have an accident and then they're gonna sue the city of Raton because it's like, I was looking at the sign and it's gotta be somebody's fault.
You know, you're smarter than you look.
No, not really. After what you saw me doing this morning, no. But the only other thing I would suggest though is if we could add the exploreraton.com on that. But I would keep it simple. Because if you've ever been on that highway coming out of Capulan, speed limits are suggestion. If you have Texas plates, it's kind of fast. So,
Yeah, and I agree. I think simple billboards, I mean, I hate it when you drive by one and you only caught half of what it said.
well, when I'm riding with the Supreme Leader, I'm continually reprimanded for looking around, so.
A picture's worth 1,000 words. You don't have to read it.
So that's a lot of direction. Does the staff feel comfortable with that?
I could give them all the directions and see if they could come up with 3 more designs to present.
Okay, that sounds good. Do we feel that needs to come back to us, or are we okay with staff moving forward with that?
I mean, staff could kind of informally see if you like what we have. I don't think it's that kind of action and decision that you want that. If Desiree can get them pointed in the right direction and we get a couple more, I'm sure we can
I think that's
see if everybody likes it.
I like that. So someone want to turn that into a motion for item L?
I move to allow the city staff to take commission's thoughts and ideas and turn it into a final design for the Capulan, New Mexico Lindmark billboard. How's that?
I have a motion and a second for item L. Very good. For the staff to continue on the vinyl designs for the Capulan, New Mexico Landmark billboard. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the sign of aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item M, city manager report. Mr. Phillips.
Mayor and Commission, thank you for allowing me to sit in the captain's chair this evening. In testament that great minds think alike, I will be crossing out the first third of the city manager report because it was word for word what Dan Campbell had to say in his committee report about the Swashine fire. So we'll get to the next section. Construction continues on multiple City of Raton projects. North Underpass project is in full swing with sidewalk replacement complete. The bridges are being prepped for painting and concrete column construction is taking place. I would expect to initiate a complete closure of the underpass as soon as next Monday. I would anticipate that this closure could last the better part of 3 weeks as we pour and cure concrete on the roadway while simultaneously painting the bridges. No real way around it to avoid liability. You know, we're gonna have to spray these bridges, paint's gonna drip off. The contractor has agreed to mobilize multiple crews to do the work simultaneously, so we're pouring concrete and painting bridges at the same time. As far as Railroad Avenue goes, the North Bridge has been removed on the project and preparations are being made for its reconstruction. Detours are in place and allowing traffic to flow in that area. City Hall stabilization project is ongoing and progressing in a timely manner, as is work on reconstructing the playground at Romero Park. City manager and I have been in contact with the governor of the Pickers tribe about a feasibility study type of grant that they recently received from the New Mexico Department of Finance Administration to assist on the Raton project. Meetings are being scheduled in the coming weeks to help advance the project. I also anticipate a meeting taking place with the New Mexico State Parks within the next couple of weeks to visit about their plans for Sugar Eat State Park over the next few years and to exchange information about our desired outcomes in our partnership, which is a polite way of saying we may not be on the same page. We do not have a manager currently, and we have some items that I think are worthy of our discussion. I had reached out to Toby Velasquez about setting up a meeting before the fire took place and had to bump that. So I'm anticipating that we may actually try to get a few folks in the car, meet with the Pickers and some attorneys in Santa Fe, and then try to meet with State Parks and their folks as well to get a couple of the things that we want accomplished. And in the spirit of keeping great quotes alive to end a meeting, I'm going to leave you with this. I think as elected officials on a week-to-week basis, you hear plenty of criticism, and this is from Aristotle, because I'm not uncultured swine, I didn't just do John Wayne. there's only one way to avoid criticism: do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. So thank you all for your service. I know you get an earful at the grocery store, much like I do on the school board. Every decision we make has pros and cons, and people that are for and against it, but I think if we all just do what's in our heart, we do the best for all of us. With that, that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Anything further from the commission? Commissioner Hoger. Thank you. Commissioner Campbell.
Just the only thing I'd ask was, Jason, would be, are we gonna try to do quite a bit of communication out that area is gonna be closed for 3 weeks?
Absolutely. I mean,
There'll be a lot of people unhappy about that.
I've been talking about it regularly here. Tyler Davis at Engineering Analytics is putting out a project update. That word didn't come through until about 4:30 this evening that the contractor was requesting it. We had generally let them know we needed at least a week's notice, but it's time. So we'll get something out to the radio. We'll do the best we can. Short of knocking on everybody's door, people will still be unhappy about this. And
because it is a difficult detour. There's no easy.
Terrible detour. I mean, it's, important for police and fire to know that it's happening, and we'll get the word out there. But, this underpass has survived decades by being done correctly. I'm a firm believer of curing concrete until it meets acceptable standards. I requested that the engineer pull cylinders and break them at the 2-week mark, but I'd still rather go 3. I mean, nothing good happens fast in curing concrete as far as the long-term availability of these roads. And it's, I wouldn't say a minor inconvenience, but it'll be a lot less of an inconvenience as rebuilding this thing 5 years from now, because we were too impatient to take the closure for the additional week. So I will keep the public and you all updated. We'll take some lumps over it, but you gotta break some eggs to make an omelet, and we're making an omelet.
Thank you.
How flinchy is the railroad about that fire issues there, track crossing?
I would say, and Chief Burke would probably echo this, in the event of an emergency, we're gonna do whatever it takes to get to the people. We'll ask for forgiveness and not permission, and I think that's, whether it's cutting fences or cutting through yards, you do what you have to do to save life and property, and let the chips fall where they may.
Anything further, Mayor? Commissioner Schuster?
Oh, yes, I do. Sorry. Back to Mental Health Month. Remember that a good smile can put a good feeling in somebody else's heart.
Very nice. And I have nothing else. With that, we'll move on to item N, executive closed session pursuant to section 1015 1H2 Personnel City Manager. I would entertain a motion from the commission.
I would move enter executive closed session pursuant to section 10-15-1H2 Personnel City Manager.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go into executive closed session. Can we have a roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Mayor Chatterley?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Honeyfield?
Yes.
Commissioner Schuster?
Yes.
Commissioner Campbell?
Yes.
And Commissioner Hoger?
Yes.